All right, patch 10.5 rundown. This is the final patch of Rise of the Elements. Thank you, everybody who's played Rise of the Elements. Hopefully you've had fun. But this is it. Comes down to the end. Final patch. What you're going to see from this patch is that, honestly, the meta's in a pretty good spot right now after the Shadow B patch. We're seeing a lot of comps succeed. So what you're going to see is some very, very minor adjustments. We're also trying to make a few of the more rare cases a bit more payoff, and trying to open up just a little bit more builds. So not going to see a ton of changes. You're also not going to see a ton of changes on the system side because we're saving all those for 10.6. So with that, traits. Blademaster is underperforming just a little bit. We addressed this in a bunch of different ways, making spatulas more rare. Sivir had her number of targets go down, other things like that. So what we decided to do is give Blademaster just a little bit of its power back in its proc. So this goes up to a 40% chance to proc. Should be a very small buff to Blademasters. Should allow them to be a little bit more viable on the final patch. Electric. Electric wasn't quite paying off as much as we wanted it to. It was supposed to be a big, exciting finale, especially if you got the Electric Lux. Was considering buffing 3 as well, but especially because there's so much Mystic. But we've actually seen on live right here at the end of the meta is that actually Electric's doing really well. So we pulled the 3 buff and we're just buffing 4 Electric. Again, we considered 3 Electric, but 3 Electric's actually doing very well in the meta right now. So yeah, as all people are calling it the Piba comp, because he's doing really well with it. So, and then the last one is Glacial. The Glacial rework so far has been a pretty good success. We've seen it open up a lot of builds. Glacial 2 is now a lot more viable. Glacial 4 is really good in the mid game. But Glacial 6 is actually kind of a bait right now, which is unfortunate because everyone, it's such a hard thing to get with Lux and Spatula. So we wanted to make it a bit more worthwhile. So if you can pull off the Glacial 6, it's now quite a bit bigger. So it should be a good buff. So, and that's it on the trait side. Everything else is looking pretty good. On the champion side, Diana has kind of been an underwhelming champion. She's an assassin. Assassins haven't really been played that much. So we're making 2 changes with her. The first one is part of something that we're trying to do overall, which is right now shields are kind of random. You don't really know how long they last. Is it 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds, forever? So we're trying to get all shields into one of 3 buckets. Small shield, big shield, and forever shield. Small shields are 4 seconds. Big shields are 8 seconds. And forever shields are forever. So Diana shield is a small shield, goes to 4 seconds. The other thing we're doing is with Diana, the payoff of hitting Diana 3 should be just a little bit bigger. So the number of orbs is going up to 6. If you've played PvE, we actually tested 7. It was pretty crazy, but didn't really work out. So we're going to go with 6. So 3-star Diana gets a buff. Leona. Leona is probably the second best tank in the game. Really strong 1-cost unit. Doing really well. Yeah. So, and if you saw the article, she's coming back as well. Different synergies, but coming back. So all we really changed with her, which is a nerf, because her shield's a little different, is she goes in the small bucket. So her shield only lasts 4 seconds now. But with her shield, it's not even like a duration thing, like a health. It's just like it lasts 4 seconds. So this is actually a pretty big nerf to Leona. Zyra. Zyra has been underperforming a little bit ever since we did that big nerf back in 10-1. So we're trying to let her go out on a high note. Getting 10 off her mana cost so she can cost a little bit more. And if you can 3-star her, she gets to do 5 plants instead of 4. So 3-star Zyra is really good. And this is one of the builds we want to open up a bit. Is if you go 3-star Diana, 3-star Zyra, and go really early Inferno power, this might be a new viable build at the end game. So, and then lastly is Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai is another one that you 3-star and you're like, cool, it's a meat shield, but I still would never put items on this thing. If you 3-star Rek'Sai, we wanted this to actually be something really cool that you could actually maybe consider putting Shojins and Seraphs on. So Rek'Sai 3 now does 1,000 true damage. And again, remember, it is true damage, so if you can pull this off, cool. Syndra. Syndra has been so interesting, because when we right before we released Rise of the Elements, we thought Syndra was going to be like really good. It just hasn't panned out that way. She basically usually only hits one target, which means she's pretty underpowered. So Syndra is getting a pretty substantial buff to try to make her a little bit better in the mage comp. Maybe actually consider putting items on your Syndra. So Syndra 1 gets a 50 buff, Syndra 2 gets a 25 buff, because Syndra 2 is actually in a pretty good spot. And then Syndra 3 gets a 50 buff. So, again, should be a small buff for Ocean Mage, and again, maybe you'll put items on her. So, Yasuo, the Yasuo nerf is serving two things. One, it's a very small nerf on live, because like Yasuo for a 2 cost is pretty nutty. So just one extra auto than there. But the other thing is actually, if you saw, Yasuo is coming back as a 2 cost next set. And with next set, his traits are actually making him even stronger. So it's a bit of a preemptive nerf as well. So at 90 mana, we're pretty happy with him. Mundo, the buff is specifically for 3-star. We wanted to make 9 docks an exciting thing you might consider chasing and actually be worth it. So 9 docks is really strong. 9 docks is probably going to be really hard to kill. Because remember, Mundo's healing is based off the damage he does. And so him doing 25% more damage means his healing is also 25% more. So that's pretty big. Ezreal buff. This is probably the most controversial one that's still in the patch. But what this is we're starting to notice, and you're going to see a big swing on this in Galaxies, but 1-stars need to be not quite as bad compared to their 2-star version. And so just the 1-star Ezreal is getting a 25 damage buff. Just Ezreal 1. We don't think this will change the meta a lot, but it'll make the jump from Ezreal 1 to 2 not feel like a massive, massive shift. So Ezreal 1 will be a very strong unit you want now, but again, power jump won't be as much. Ezreal has definitely he's in the meta right now as a pretty good champ, so maybe this is unnecessary, but we're going to try it out. So final patch, Ezreal 1 was going to be good, but that's it. Karma. Karma has probably been the best Mystic since she came out. And yeah, I can't say that. But yeah, so Karma's getting some adjustments. Basically, we're going to lower her 1-star and 2-star version, so it's not quite as powerful. Still want to carry her because of Lunar and Mystic. But if you can 3-star her, she actually gets buffed. So 3-star gets a really big buff. Nocturne. Now, it's funny because if I'm going to acknowledge chat here for a second, but I'm seeing Blender is back. Maybe there is a chance, honestly, this patch between the Blademaster buff and this Nocturne buff, maybe Blender's back. Keep in mind, it's still not doing the whole double damage it used to when Blender was a thing, but Nocturne is still underperforming despite repeated buffs, and we wanted to give him one last patch in the spotlight. So he's getting a bit of his healing back on his ult. If this makes Blender come back, I'm not that worried about it, but maybe it'll be nostalgic to see that Blender do a little okay for a while. Jana's a tricky one, but Jana has been underperforming just a little bit. She's basically a cloud bot, so we just wanted to put a little bit of power into the actual heal, so that you might actually consider her for the heal. So she gets 5% on the 1 and 2. And then 3-star, she's basically been the worst 3-star forecast. Like, why would you ever 3-star her? So the idea here was if you 3-star Jana, she'll basically almost instantly heal your comp to full. So that's a pretty big buff. And then lastly is Twitch. Twitch, with all the other changes to Poison, has kind of fallen out of the wayside. He's not as good as Ashe. So we wanted Twitch to be kind of the 4-cost carry to end the patch. So that's it. Now, I'm pulling up a video here that I would like you to see. This is part of the patch rundown for the next change. The next change involves Zed.
What's that?
So I'm going to mute this. So here's the video. It's from one of our China players, which is really cool. And they hit 3-star Zed, so you can see what 3-star Zed is going to look like after the patch. Let me see if I can make this bigger for you. 3-star Zed wanted to help, I think it was Kurum who got this, but now 3-star Zed gets minus 125 mana on his clones. And so, what does that look like? Well, fast forward. Let's see what 3-star Zed does. And again, we really wanted to make sure that 3-star Zed could actually be something exciting, because 3-star 5 costs are supposed to be good. Well, 3-star Zed, when he clones very rapidly. So 3-star Zed gets out of control real quick. So there you go. Big thank you to the China player who put that together. So yeah, Zed, monoclone penalty goes to minus 125. It is the clone army. If you can pull off 3-star Zed, enjoy your YouTube video. That's great. And then the final change of Rise of the Elements is something I promised Double Z I would do, because it really doesn't matter, but it's hilarious. Lux 3-star spell damage is going from 9,999 to 99,999. Why? Because I can, and being a game developer should be fun, and we should have fun together as a community, and so, you know what? Why not? Let's have some fun. It's the final patch. The game is about fun. So, alright. That is it for Rise of the Elements. That is the final patch. So, just wanted to take a moment to thank everyone who has played Rise of the Elements. Big thank you from the whole development team. It's been awesome. We hope you enjoy the last patch. Look forward to Galaxy news this week. And yeah, again, thank you for playing TFT. Thank you for supporting the game. And we hope to keep living up to your expectations. So that'll do it for the patch rundown. The next one will be a Galaxy patch rundown. So until then, take it easy.